Oh, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen. Guys, it is Thursday and rainy Thursday here in the UK. Guys, welcome on board. Thank you to all the brand new subscribers, guys. Picked up over 30 subs yesterday, up to 481 subscriptions now. Thank you so much for your support. Remember, guys, if you like Glasgow Rangers, or if you love Glasgow Rangers better still, and you are a die-hard Blue Nose, then please hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and give the video a like. It does help out, guys. Remember, this is a fan-driven channel. Myself and Victoria are fans of the team. We are here for you, the fan, to bring you daily news, daily views, daily updates, live streams, podcasts, so much content coming up over the next few days here on Glasgow Rangers Nation, as well as your daily hit of Glasgow Rangers. So, like I said, Victoria and I will be back tonight with our first of our two podcasts this week. Our first podcast tonight, obviously, is going to be with Kashmir Lewis, the Dundee United fan, talking about the game on Saturday. And then obviously on Friday night, we'll be back yet again, this time with a podcast with Gary from NASA, who is the president of the North American Rangers Supporters Association, who'll be talking about NASA, about Rangers, about the upcoming NASA convention, which Victoria is attending. Well, guys, we're going to talk obviously a lot of things, a few things in this program today. We're going to talk a little bit about Barry Ferguson again. Yes, the former Rangers captain has been at it again, speaking to the media. He does like to speak about the current Rangers team, but as a legend, obviously, as a true hero of this team, I suppose, he is certainly somebody, when he speaks, we need to listen. What else has been going on? Well, obviously there is more news, more speculation around Alfie as that continues, and I think that will continue through to the end of the season. More takes this time from a real former Rangers legend in Ali McCoist on that incident that happened in the Women's Premier League game the other day. Michael Beale's comments that he made the other day about the start to the season, and a little bit about Alan McGregor as well, and also a bit about the visitor that we had to Ibrox yesterday, a real hero, a real Glasgow Rangers legend. But let's start with former captain Barry Ferguson, who has been talking about current central defensive midfielder hard man Ryan Jack. Well, Barry Ferguson obviously was a dominant midfielder in his day with Glasgow Rangers, and he's been talking about Ryan Jack. Now, although Jack has had his injury issues this season, these past few seasons really for Rangers, many feel that Jack is a vital part of this team going forward, and that he really does need to be offered a new contract. And that is certainly something that Barry Ferguson has echoed in recent times. Ferguson, speaking on the radio, said that he felt that Ryan Jack was deserving of a new contract and needed a new deal, and was a vital part of Rangers' future. Certainly I would be inclined to agree with what is being said. This guy is an absolute superstar. He is a quality player. He makes such a difference to the team when he is in the team. He allows other players to go and play. He allows like Tav to get forward. He allows Cantwell, Raskin to move forward. It's just the confidence, isn't it, of knowing that Ryan is back there. Ryan is covering. He breaks up plays so well. Look, I know he's got his injury issues, and I know he's missed a number of games over the last few seasons with injury. But when he is in the team, he does make such a massive, huge difference. So, even if we can only get sort of 20, 25 games out of him, I still think he is worth a new contract. He is definitely a vital part of this team. He's certainly someone I would love to see back next season. The manager, Michael Beale, has also said as much as well. He's talked very much about wanting to have Ryan back in Glasgow next season, talking about wanting to have Ryan a player that he wants to continue working with. So, for me, he is certainly someone I would love to see back on the team and back with a new 2 to 3 year, perhaps a 2-year contract. He is 31 years old, and then obviously in a couple of years we can look to sort of over the next few seasons bring in somebody who could replace Ryan Jack. And the other thing about Ryan Jack is, he is an experienced professional. He is a Rangers man. He knows what it takes to play for Rangers and to be a Rangers player. And there's a lot of players who are down to leave in the summer, and a lot of experienced players who are down to leave in the summer. The likes of Ryan Jack, the likes of Scott Arfield, the likes of Alan McGregor, for example. These are players who, have been with the club a long time, who are, Rangers men through and through. And we do need to maintain some of these. I think, we're going to bring in, as Michael Beale said, at least a minimum of 5 new faces. Although like he said the other day, he is not prepared to set a limit on this. We do need people at the club who know, who are going to slowly bring people up to know what it is to play for Rangers, what it's like to play in an Old Firm game, and to really become a Rangers man, just like Jack, just like Arfield, just like McGregor. So I think a new deal for Jack is an absolute must, and then obviously Barry Ferguson, former Rangers captain, agrees with me on that premise as well. Okay, let's move on to talk about someone who is taking up an awful lot of column inches, all in the Scottish press, in the Glasgow press, and in the English press as well. And that is Alfredo Morelos. Obviously, Alfie is out of contract, as we know, and is the subject of much speculation across so many media sites, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Scottish press like Daily Record, the Scotsman, the Glasgow Times, websites like Transfer Tavern, Football World's Ibrox News. So much information, so much speculation regarding Alfie, and maybe Alfie has the right attitude there with that in that picture. Shh. Maybe that's the best way. And Michael Beale said obviously that they're going to continue to the end of the season with a focus. He has no problem with Alfie, which obviously kind of goes against what he said after the Wraith Rovers game. And it's all for him about the conversation will happen in the summer. Now, obviously, as I recorded a video the other day and talked about the fact that Alfie was wanted by Galatasaray, and apparently Galatasaray want to pair him and former Arsenal and Manchester United forward Alexis Sanchez in a new attack. That is their plan for next season, apparently, a Sanchez-Morelos attack, which would be certainly a very frightening prospect, even for two guys coming towards the end of their careers. But another name that has been linked with Alfredo Morelos this morning, I think it's obviously because this guy's going to be available on a free in the summer, is a proven goal scorer and a proven striker, is Aston Villa, English League club Aston Villa, former obviously club of Michael Beale, where he was a coach, and obviously former Rangers manager Steven Gerrard was there up until he was sacked very recently. Morelos apparently is interesting Aston Villa. That is another rumour that is doing the rounds at the moment, and Aston Villa, the Birmingham club, want to bring Morelos to the Premiership to test out his skills. And I think if this rumour is true, that is certainly something that may interest Alfie. The ability to go and test himself in one of the best leagues in the world is definitely something that may attract him to go and play down south. So could we see Alfie in claret and blue next season? That is another question that is currently doing the rounds around Glasgow. So let's move on to that really unfortunate incident now that obviously occurred after the end of the Women's Soccer Premier League game between Celtic and Rangers, involving Rangers women's assistant manager Craig McPherson, where he appears allegedly to, as we must say, to headbutt Fran Alonso, the Celtic women's coach. Now, as we know, there's obviously, there may have been provocations, there may have been things said, we don't know that, but you shouldn't respond in that way, no matter what the provocation is, even if it is against that mob from across the city. What happened, what exactly happened, obviously has been investigated, like I said, by Police Scotland and by the Scottish FA, and obviously sanctions will be taken if they feel it is necessary. That is both the police and obviously the Scottish FA. However, two former Old Firm legends, or Old Firm players, have been having, well, one's a legend, one's someone I have no time or respect for, have been having their say on this morning on Talk Sport. The one obviously I have no time or respect for is Alan Brazil, who is, as we know, Celtic daft, and I really have no time for what this man says. He does really irritate me. But he was obviously rinsing Rangers over it and rinsing Craig McPherson over it. However, the man that I do have time and respect for, he spoke on this as well, and that is former Rangers striker, former Rangers manager, absolute Rangers hero, Ali McCoist. Now, Ali McCoist, speaking on the Talk Sport breakfast this morning, said that there will be big sanctions on the way if the allegations against McPherson are proved, both for McPherson and possibly for Rangers women's team. If that is the case, that there is something that the police or the SFA find there is a case to answer for McPherson. He also said that if obviously any allegations are proven to be true, that McPherson will find himself in to quote Ali McCoist, massive trouble. So obviously I think, McCoist is right with what he says. If there is any truth in these allegations, if there is anything proven against McPherson, then he will face a huge sanction from the Scottish FA, even Police Scotland, and possibly a loss of his job from Glasgow Rangers. As we know, Rangers will not tolerate this sort of behaviour, and I have no doubts will act if required to, if allegations are proven against McPherson. I mean, you can obviously draw your own conclusions from that image. Those of you who watched the video yesterday saw the video footage as well of the incident. It is up to you to draw your own conclusions. But obviously, like I said here, we've got to be very careful for legal reasons what we are saying. It is still all alleged. It is still all being investigated, so we can't say for fact. But we are, like I said, we are taking on board and listening to what people are saying about this incident. This is a big story at the moment in Glasgow, a big story between the old firm. Let's face it, when something happens between the old firm, it is big news. It's big news in England. It's big news in Scotland. It's big news right across the United Kingdom and even Europe, given the stature of the two Glasgow clubs. So, like I said, you can draw your own conclusions on that and what happens. And, my personal opinion would be, if anything is proven, if anything has actually happened that is proven legally by the SFA, then and if McPherson has acted in a way that could be of detriment to the club, or if any player or any coach acts in a way that is a detriment and drags Rangers, reputation down, then they should be sacked, because this is a great club. This is a fantastic club. This is one of the greatest clubs in the world in terms of stature, up there with the very best. And we don't want to be dragged down, do we, by bad behaviour and put into the gutter by the behaviour of certain people and certain individuals. So we have to make sure that our behaviour is always impeccable and always of the highest order, that we set a very positive example, not only to the rest of the football world, but to our fans and to the people who watch Rangers play. These guys are role models, whether they are coaches, managers, players, no matter who they are role models for their fans. They are role models for the children who are growing up being Rangers fans and so obviously supporting the team. So yeah, definitely agree with Ali McCoist. He will be in massive trouble if these allegations are proven. Also speaking as well recently was Michael Beale. Michael Beale has talked about his time at the club, and he's talked about how he's delighted with how the players have responded to him and how the players have really picked it up since the start of the season. He said that he'd been examining data and statistics and fitness logs and things like that, and had been really impressed with the uptake in form and fitness of his squad. He certainly said, looking back at the data from the start of the season, it was nowhere near as promising or as good as what this as it has become over the last 19 games that he has been in charge for. During his time with Rangers, Michael Beale has been in charge for 19 games. As I said, he has won 17 of them, drawn 1 and lost 1. Yes, okay, unfortunate, a very bad one, that League Cup final, which we don't want to talk about. But, Beale has done a really good job coming in, changing the ethos of the club. And you're no longer really going into games, are you, against those clubs that are, that historically we could have struggled against, that we may have dropped points against. When Gio was here, we were certainly dropping points against teams that we should not be dropping points against. And you just feel, I think, a little bit more confident with Michael Beale at the helm, that Michael Beale, won't allow this to happen. The way he sets his teams up, the expectations he has, the way he plays, etc., is all designed to get the best out of his current squad, and he is very, very happy with that and happy with how the team have responded to him. Like I said, 17 victories out of 19. Obviously, the other one being a draw, that 2-2 draw that the Rangers really should have won at New Year's against that mob from across the city, and obviously the League Cup final, which was a bad loss at the end of the day. So overall, Beal, you've got to be pretty pleased with how Michael Beale turns out. We're certainly looking forward to a transfer window where he's had a big input on that. I know Ross Wilson is the guy who will end the day by the players, but the 5 names that have been given to Ross have all been given by Michael Beale. And if Todd Cantwell and Nicholas Raskin are any sort of barometer of the types of players that Michael Beale is going for, the types of players that Michael Beale wants at this club, that is fantastic for the club. Those 2 guys have been absolute class acts, picked up for not a great deal of money, and both of them been absolutely superb since they've come up to Rangers. Really, really impressed. So hopefully, that is something that Beale will continue with his next group of signings. Moving on to our goalkeeper, Mr. Alan McGregor, Rangers legend Alan McGregor. And I know the term legend gets bandied around an awful lot by a number of us here in the podcasting world, in the footballing world. But Alan McGregor is an absolute legend. At 41 years old, he's probably one of, if not, some people would argue the greatest goalkeeper for Rangers of all time. Obviously, Rangers have been exceptionally lucky, having some outstanding goalkeepers in their time. Andy Gorham, Stefan Kloss, my personal favourite, Chris Woods. Some really good keepers have gone through the hallowed turf of Ibrox, and Alan McGregor is just one of them. McGregor, who throughout his career has come to Rangers' rescue, the penalty save against Belgrade, save against Prague, league titles he's been involved in, cup wins he's been involved in, beating that mob from across the city on numerous occasions. His Giorgio Samaras penalty save, for example, been one of those incidents right up there. Now, McGregor at 41 this season, I feel has at times looked every single year of that 41, failing to come for balls at times that in the past he would have easily come and got, perhaps failing to cut out balls that he would have easily got in the past. His reactions looking a bit slower and letting in goals that perhaps again in the past he would not have let in. Now, Alan McGregor is, I think, 99.9% sure that he will be gone at the end of this season. He said as much at Rugby Park earlier in the year, but speculation was made rife the other day when Michael Beale talked about the fact that, that he would go on beyond 500. Well, yeah, of course he's going to go on beyond this. It will be his 500th appearance. Fantastic achievement against Dundee United the weekend. But he will play the rest of the season as long as he stays fit. He hopefully will have 2 more games in the Scottish Cup if he stays fit. So his appearances, yes, will go over 500. I don't think that Beale was saying that they're going to give him a 1-year contract or give him any further contract at the club. I think he was just basically saying that, yes, he will have more than 500 appearances because he will play the rest of this season out. I don't think we should read too much into this. I think it's, again, a case of the press putting 2 and 2 together and getting 6. I really do think that is the case in this term. And I do think that Rangers do need to be looking elsewhere for a new goalkeeper, someone like a Freddie Woodman or a Jack Butland. I certainly wouldn't want Angus Gunn at the club. I think his distribution is poor. I think he's going to be very, very expensive for what he actually is, given the fact he plays, obviously, for a Premier League chasing team in Norwich City in the English Championship. Final story of the day, guys. I want to talk about this legend here returning to Ibrox yesterday. Paul Gazza Gascoigne, what a superstar. One of my all-time favourite Rangers players, was back at Ibrox yesterday. Tour around the stadium, went into the trophy room, posed with one of his old shirts, put on one of the new shirts with his name on the back. How good does that look? Wouldn't that be amazing to see that name and that player 20 years ago, 30 years ago, probably 30 years ago, he is 55 now, running out at Rangers. He was absolutely superb, really in really good form yesterday, Gazza. Great to see him back at Ibrox, and what an absolute legend Gazza is. Like I said, one of my all-time favourite Rangers players. He scored probably one of my all-time favourite Rangers goals as well. His second goal against Aberdeen when he got the ball in his own half, ran sort of half the length of the pitch, beating players, holding players off and smashing it into the top corner past the Aberdeen goalkeeper. Absolutely superb goal from Gazza. So for me, great to see Gazza back, looking quite healthy as well, which is good to see, and back at Ibrox where he belongs. I think Gazza is certainly one of those of once a Ranger, always a Ranger. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call that a day now on this video. Thank you so much for catching up with the latest Rangers news. Please hit that sub, ring that notification bell. It's the only way you won't miss out on all the latest news, views, and content, as well as the podcasts coming up over the next few days. Thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'll be back to speak to you very soon on this channel, as will Miss Victoria Searle.